Alright, my friends, how you all doing? This is not a drill. We are back. It's a brand new episode of our City Zoo build, Tropical Wings Zoo. So as I've just said, we are finally back, gang, with a brand new episode of Tropical Wings. If you've been keeping an eye on the channel, you will have seen I've actually been live streaming the series a bit more than I have been doing it episodically. But going forward, we are going to be bringing back the episodes, and I'm going to explain all today as we go along. Now, I've been working towards a brand new habitat. I'm going to introduce you to that. I'm going to give you an updated animal list as well, because we've got the Twilight Pack DLC about to drop, and we are going to include some of those animals in the project. I'm also going to, walk around the zoo and show you a few bits and bobs I've kind of been working on and changing up that are going to kind of take effect as we go forward. Lots to look forward to in today's episode, I can assure you of that. So, let's jump into it. So here we are. We are at the entrance, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to take a very good look at all the work I have been doing. Before we do that, though, I just want to let you know that going forward, in case you've not seen the update that I put out on the channel a week or 2 weeks ago, something like that, Tropical Wings is going to go out every other week now, okay? So if we were to look at it like for a 4-week month, say Sunday 1 and Sunday 3, that would be Tropical Wings Zoo. I'm hoping to get 2 episodes out a month, but to go alongside those episodes, I am now going to be streaming 4 times a week, and at least 2 of the 4 days will be Planet Zoo streams. So feel free to subscribe to the channel and drop by it whenever I am live and get involved. It's been a lot of fun over the last few weeks streaming, really getting back into it, and I think it's a really cool way to kind of share Tropical Wings with you guys a bit more as well. Now, before I show you the big piece of work that I've been doing, I just want to kind of show you a few of the little subtle changes I've been making and kind of talk you through them. The last proper episode we did was the bug house. There are still a few little bits and bobs that need doing over there, but essentially, I've just been tidying things up. I've been changing up kind of the planting a little, been tidying up the stairs. I'm changing the designs of the internal planters. So we're removing this stone and we're now going with this kind of flatter edge. We are changing up the seating to more like benches rather than the flat ones that we were using. We're going with benches with backs on. There's lots of little bits of work. We've changed this up to make it look a little cleaner so we can get our levels all sorted. But yeah, essentially that's kind of the work that I've sort of been doing as well. As you can see, we're going to be tidying all this up, and we're going to be there's loads of stuff going on basically where the project is concerned. But yeah, it's just good to be back, isn't it, in Tropical Wings. Now, we will get to the main event now, gang. So for a long time, I kind of was talking about doing the wild water buffalo near the Komodo dragon house, and that's essentially what I decided to do for this episode. One of the big reasons is I'm going to be moving into the into Asia area. I'm probably completing that. I've got lots of like really grand ideas. We are going to be talking about what we're going to kind of look towards next after this. But I am probably going to be sticking in this area for the foreseeable. So I thought it made sense to kind of get the wild buffalo kind of sorted first. Now, one thing I do just want to let you all know is that all the backstage area isn't done. The reason for that is I don't really know what direction it's going to go off in. So there was no way I could really start it because I don't know what's going to be around it. So until I know what's going to be kind of like to the back or to the side, it would have been a waste of my time because it would have just ended up being stuff that would have got deleted out basically. So this here is our wild water buffalo habitat. Now, for those that were stopping by on the stream and catching it and kind of watching me build, this probably looks very different to the last stream, gang, doesn't it? Because I just kind of started the planting, and we'd got the walls up on the internal kind of housing hab part. We hadn't done any of the planting here or the railings or anything. I didn't want to spend too much time with like the planting or whatever on stream. I was trying to do other things, but yeah, I really got cracking. I really got into a lovely groove. And I finished all the side off. We're going to show you all that so you can kind of see how you can view the animals from a guest perspective and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, this is our wild buffalo habitat. So this is the main kind of viewing area basically. So to explain this, obviously, those that watch the series are very aware of this being our Komodo kingdom. But if you are new, we built this a long time ago, and I kind of built it with this, this vision to do an animal off the back. And I kind of like the whole buffalo feel because on the islands of Komodo, there are wild buffalo that kind of roam. And I thought it was just a really, really good addition to kind of have on the back. So I've kind of carried this around like the same way we had before. There are going to be some minor changes at some point over the other side and to this fencing design. Now, as people know, there's going to be a skywalk that's probably going to start about here, so we are going to end up putting kind of like a covered section here. I've just put this in temporarily so I know where that's going, basically. So this is probably going to be removed and changed at a later date, but for now, kind of like that's where the skywalk is going to start. That skywalk's going to kind of go round this way, basically, kind of around the back and then kind of back on itself. But yeah, we are probably gonna have to start that soon, but I've still got to flesh out all of the actual kind of designs for it, to be honest, before I can get it properly started. So yeah, this was the kind of main viewing, area. The more I thought about it, the more I thought we probably needed a bit of viewing down here as well. So I decided to kind of change the fence up. We've raised it up as well, and I'll take you over there and kind of show you kind of the look from over there as well. So yeah, this is kind of our guest view. Now, I've done it so that we had this very large kind of heavy body of water at the front. It goes to probably like halfway up the animal's body, so like just above their belly, basically. So they do kind of submerge quite nicely without it looking silly and them like swimming. They just there's like a deeper part over here, and I've done it very like wild. I didn't do like a concrete pool or anything edged. It's very natural. That's what I wanted to go with. Got all the planting all done very heavily, kind of like on the reeds and stuff like that. In the deeper part, we kind of left that a bit more open, but there was this little island in the middle as well that I thought, could add some details in. And I think, we did this little concrete wall, this little, separator basically with that wall design that we've got, and I think it's turned out really nice. Actually, I really love the way those rocks the different colors and the rocks and the different textures all kind of play off one another. Something I do want to do is I want to get some like green in the rocks, basically. I started doing it over here. So like you can see, I started putting some plants like on the rocks, and I think it kind of gives it a nice little detail, to be honest with you. So I want to just kind of go all along and maybe even like get some vines that like come down these rocks and like dirty them up a little bit. Something I am going to do like at a later date is I am going to go around the zoo and like age parts using decals and whatever. There's so much of that you can mess about with, but it takes up so much time. And I really just wanted to get the episode together and finally get a fresh episode of Tropical Wings out, basically. But yeah, as you can see, kind of from here, it's a lot higher, the guest level. We have sunk this down even more so than it already was. But I was kind of thinking about the size of the animal. They're potentially a rather, dangerous animal because of their size and their horns and whatnot. As far as the actual hab is concerned, you'll see we're quite low at the front, and then we do kind of go up a level a little to the housing unit, which I will show you in a moment. We weren't messing around with this sort of design during the live streams, and the ones that I made originally were really, really clunky. And I was kind of like having a little mooch through, and I decided that, there must be other bits and bobs. And then I knew that Caesar, a good friend of mine in the community, had done a buffalo hab, and I could have sworn that he did something. So I jumped in there, and I had a look at his, and he did this really fascinating thing where he used fences, and then he used metal pieces, basically, over the top to kind of hide those. And don't they look amazing? They look really, really cool. So I got to thank Caesar, basically, for the inspired redesign of the metal planters. Basically, they look really, really good. We've got a circle one, and then we've got one that's more of an oval, basically. But I think they look really, really good, especially with all the foliage all kind of creeping out. I've gone really like muddy, like in here as well, with sand and whatnot. Not a lot of grass. I kind of wanted it to feel like really kind of like, like dirty and like murky and whatnot. And yeah, kind of dress the edges. There is some grass, like creeping through, and some brambles and whatnot in certain areas. But obviously, the buffalo would probably kind of eat it and tread it down. And so, as you can see, it's very much confined to the edge, and I've done rocks in front of the fences and whatnot, and I changed the fences up as well. The reason for that was when I was doing a bit of reading, obviously we're going for a realistic zoo. When I was doing a bit of reading, it was basically, they were suggesting like that they wouldn't use the mesh basically because of them getting their horns and stuff stuck in it, and they could rip the mesh strong enough to do so. If they do get their horns stuck, they can, hurt themselves and whatnot. So they decide not to go with that sort of design. And I was having a little look at the stuff they went with, and there was like a good mixture of like wooden fences and metal fences and whatnot. So I decided to kind of put this together. I think it looks quite nice, actually. It's essentially the same design with the metal posts like this, but we just changed up the internal part. And I think it makes for really, cool viewing as well when you see from this side the guests kind of like looking in, basically. I do think it looks really, really good. I've got to do the education boards. As you can see, I didn't get around to doing those. I've got so many in this zoo to do and complete. It's one of those things that I think I really need to like take 5 minutes to do. I might live stream me doing them one day as a break from like actually like building in Planet Zoo. I might just live stream me doing stuff like that. I think that might be quite a fun stream, actually. Let me know what you think of that as a potential stream in the comment section. And we went with this little wooden design in front of the fence over here. This is going to be backstage this side, so we wanted to cover it a little bit. This was someone during the stream, actually. They said, why don't you go with that similar fence that you've got in the warthogs to kind of disguise that. Amazing little suggestion, and so we've done it all the way along that side to kind of disguise that is kind of backlot, area over that side. I think that there's enough kind of trees in the hab, and then we've got some on the borderlines that it makes it feel quite enclosed. We got lots of like natural shade and whatnot, because I haven't done like a little lean-to shelter type thing. I've literally just built the main shelter, for the animals this time around. But yeah, that's kind of like the habitat, gang. That's essentially kind of what it looks like. Let me know what you make of it. Obviously got nice big mud piles, lots of rocks and plants, and like really natural. I'm absolutely in love with it. I really like the way it's turned out, actually. When I was streaming it, I was looking at it and I was like, oh, I really just don't know where this is going to go, basically. So some other work that I've been doing is, obviously, I have to think about all the guest-facing stuff as well. And so this is a path that's going to kind of go up. So as you can see, this path is going up in this direction. And this is kind of going into Asia. It really, really is, because we're going to be having the elephants kind of down here. I would imagine there's probably going to be an animal like around this area as well. It might be the outdoor tapir I might do here, because there's going to be a big tropical building basically here, and then on the outskirts of the building, scattered around, are going to be like all the other Asian animals basically. In this little space here, I'm going to do a park, and I'm going to do like a little seated area like on the grass and whatever. I kind of decided that when I was finishing this off. So I've just kind of been putting the fence in place and getting all the grounds kind of sorted out, because obviously I've marked all this out back here to do planting, and as you can see, we've got stairs for our zookeepers, because this is just a little walkway around the edge to kind of check fences and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I've just kind of been sort of lining a few bits out, to be honest with you, so that I can really get a feel for where the back lot stuff's going to go, because I have to plan so far ahead with everything I do. And so, yeah, as I was saying, I've kind of been working on you know, the guest facing stuff, I am absolutely loving the shade here. And as we know in the new DLC, we are going to get fallen leaves, and I think fallen leaves scattered in places like this where the trees are heavy are the detail that we are going to get on the paths, because, you know, it's been said a few times that my paths, there just seems to be a lot of like grey concrete exposed, and I think just a lot of it is that I don't put trees everywhere. Sometimes we just like go with bushes and whatnot, but it's just one of those things. It's the way things get detailed, basically. Yeah, this is what I've done. So I'm putting some trees in, but also kind of just going with some like bushes and like grasses and whatnot, and like letting it be really kind of like messy and overgrown. Now it does drop down a level, and so what I did was I made, using the plaster pieces, I just made this like brick wall design. Basically, and I think it looks really, really cool. Like, I've taken it all the way up, like at a slight angle, and then I've used a plaster edge piece on the top, and then I've just carried on doing the path in the same design that I have been, and then I did this little rope fence to kind of like stop people from obviously going down there, you know, between the hab, and there's a nice bit of space as well. But obviously this is a really cool, what I've done is I've left areas so that you can stand and kind of look at the animals, and then there are some education, you know, little boards that I've, you know, fashioned out of some pieces that I've put there, and I've put one up here as well. So they're kind of like going to be your main areas that you're going to be able to kind of stop and take a look. It's not like a normal kind of viewing area like we've designed before, but I think that sometimes it's good to do things differently, because zoos have limitations, and you can still create a pretty nice viewing area without having to have it like really, really clear and really open. This is one of those that's more a case of, you know, look between the trees and the bushes and the undergrowth and see if you can find something a bit similar to what we did with the Okapi all that time ago. As you can see, when we get to this end, it isn't finished, because like I was saying, I just don't know what direction we're going to go off on you know, when we go off this way. There are going to be paths that are going to come off of this as well. We ain't just going to go up here. What I'm kind of thinking is this is going to be the main path that kind of comes off and comes this way, and we'll probably bring this path up, and they will join in the end. We're going to have a very big elephant hab down here. It will probably be the largest enclosure we've got, other than the mixed one in the African Adventure Africa area. But that's all stuff to think about at a later date. I've done some planters on the internals as well. I'm really just trying some different stuff. I'm trying to change the designs up of the planters we're using as well. I want like the areas to like really kind of evolve into their own little things. But yeah, as you can see, like the planting really kind of follows, you know, suit in, you know, its own areas. And as you can see as well with the habit, like really clears up towards the back when we get to the kind of housing area for the buffaloes, basically. So if I take you back in and we take a good look at the back of the enclosure, you can see it's a lot more kind of open back here, not as much, you know, foliage. We've got this one tree back here with a bit of foliage and whatnot. And then if we head over in this direction, you can see we've got some feeders, and we've got some light foliage and whatnot, and we've done one exposed tree, but because we've got the scratching post on it, we could, and then it kind of heads over into the housing unit. So if we were to take a look at that, this is the housing units. This has actually changed, gang, from what I did in the stream. So for people that were watching the streams, you will remember this little piece on the side wasn't here, and I've actually made it slightly larger just using the roof. So the roof overhangs. It overhangs on all four sides, but especially front and back. A lot more at the front, because I just wanted to create like a natural area that the buffaloes could kind of stand under should they wish, and also kind of put a feeder on there as well. So yeah, there's actually a buffalo inside, so that's really good, because you're going to kind of get to see, you know, how the building works. So I've reworked all of the backstage as well from the streams. We put a temporary path over here and just joined it up so that we could get all of the perimeters done and whatnot, but I've now worked the path where it's going to go. So I always said it was going to run along this way down here, because we had gates, didn't we? We've got a gate there, and we've basically got a null gate there, one that doesn't really do anything. But we've joined the path up now, so this is where it's going to start. There will actually be a tunnel here. This path is going to go across, so there will be a tunnel there, and then that will probably make its way down in that direction, because that's more towards the backstage. It doesn't really need to go that way because that's towards where our guests would be. But yeah, it's probably going to go down in that direction. I'm also considering, because we've got these shops and whatnot, we're going to need some storage for maybe goods and whatever. I'm considering putting like a building back here for storage, and I'm also thinking about using this space up here. We've got a lot of space up here, and I think we could just build some like temporary like storage unit type buildings or whatever and put them up there, because of the way our guests look at these animals, you wouldn't see it. So I think it's kind of like it would be a good way to kind of use the space up here. Otherwise, this is just going to be a bunch of empty, just concrete that does nothing. We're definitely going to need to find some props and whatever to kind of put up here or design some stuff. But yeah, essentially that's my thinking where that's concerned. And then it's going to run up kind of this way over here. And that's why I was saying I didn't want to finish it, because, you know, we're probably going to put animals over here. And then we've kind of got all this already there, and then we can kind of design what we're going to do. I've left all this because I think it makes sense to kind of put plants in and trees and whatnot and kind of cover it all over. I put this little bit in at the back, so this is like temporary if we need to separate the animals and whatnot. Did it a bit of a different design, I done like a bit of a different fence, a different gate and whatnot as well. As you can see, it's rather high, this fence. It's you know, it's as high as our zookeeper. I did that because they are big animals, and you know, we'd want to make sure that, you know, we keep the animals in and that. So yeah, you know, bringing all of that path around. But like I said, I didn't finish this back here because I just didn't see the point. But back to the housing unit. So what I've done is there's two sides. So there's a gate one side, a gate the other side, and basically it's just so that we can separate animals if we ever need to, you know, in the internal house, basically. If we had a mother and a calf, for instance, you know, we could separate them this side, and there could be some temporary fencing put in back here, and there'd still be like a nice little area. You know, it's stuff that zoos do, and so it was kind of like what I was always thinking. And then I've done this central walkway into the hab, which is the first time I've ever done that with any of my builds. It's a wooden design. I really wanted to go with like a real good mixture of like wood and stone. I think the outside of it has just turned out very, very nice. I really, really like it. I've just realised I forgot to detail the bottoms of that back here, but I've done it on the front. But that is what it is. Doesn't matter. Right, so let's head on in. This is the door. So we've got like a big old door, and then we've got this one that could be folded back if need be as well. And then if we head on inside, oh, we've actually got buffaloes on both sides, which is really cool. This is what we are dealing with on the inside, gang. So it's really different. It's really different. And I actually like this so much, I'm considering changing some of the others. And I know what you're all thinking, Dan, why do you create so much work for yourself? But here's the thing, gang. The more you play the game, I think ideally, the more you play the game, the better at the game you get. The better at the game you get, the more techniques you learn. And with those techniques, everything just ends up looking nicer and better. And unfortunately, the newer stuff I build looks better than the older stuff I build. I think a really good example of that is if you look at the Do It Better series and the Reptile House. It's the best house I've ever built. And it's because it's, you know, nearly 3 years down the line that I've built it, and I've been playing the game, you know, almost every day for 3 years, you know. So you got to consider that. But yeah, done all the gates a little different in here. A lot of it was to do with their horns, so we have to be careful with that sort of thing. So yeah, I've just kind of done this unit. Pretty high ceilings in here. But I think it looks pretty cool, to be honest with you. And then what I've done is I've done this like little zookeeper area. So obviously we've got the fire extinguishers just in case, but we've got all of our bits and bobs like all over the walls. And then over here we've got our hay and whatnot, and then we've got like a nice little racking unit. So it's like a little room that's dedicated to this for our zookeepers. which I think is really important. I think it looks really, really good as well. The windows as well, they're really good. I love the way they're kind of designed. I think now we've got this piece that came in the European DLC. The windows can be designed so nicely. They really, really can for some of the builds now. And then as you can see, this like metal framework as well. It just looks so good with this thinner metal piece. But yeah, so you can see it a bit more clearly now. We've got this side over here. And then if you go over here, you can, just got the other side basically. They're a little bit of a different shape because obviously we had to add all of this at the back. I've kind of used one of the decals to create like a bit of dirt and a bit of mud that's kind of been trodden in from the habitat. And then we've got this kind of central pylon, and I've done like my ventilation basically through this, and we've also got all about water and whatnot kind of hooked up on the bottom. And then if you look on the back, we've got the ventilation again, and this is one of the feeders that I built. I'm really happy with this feeder. I'm going to make more of these. I absolutely love it. It's just that metal piece again with the hinge to like represent some like connection, and then we did like some dry grass basically to represent the hay. I think it's turned out amazing. I absolutely love it. We've got another vent here over here on the wall as well. As you can see, the buffalo are very big boy animals. They really, really are. So the doorways had to be pretty, large, and considering this is actually pretty low, this point here, this is 2 meters, by the way, so, it's not high for these animals. Something you are going to notice is I haven't put doors on the building. Now, a lot of the stuff I was looking at, you don't, like, there's a lot of barns where they just haven't bothered putting doors on, which I found interesting, but also my reason for not doing it is I wasn't sure what sort of doors I wanted to do. I weren't sure what sort of mechanism I wanted. Did I want a sliding door? Did I want barn doors that open? I really, really wasn't sure, gang. So I left it. And my whole thing is if I'm not 100% sold on something, I won't do it. I'll hold off and I'll do it at a later date. So that's probably something I'll come back to, but I still think it looks pretty finished, like even without the doors on. I think that door as well, that door design that I have come up with, I think looks lovely. I think it looks so nice. I really, really do. And I love all the items. I love all the pieces now that we've got in the game, and we can just like throw them all about. I just think everything just looks so much better. And I made this little table as well with some more storage here, and there could be a bit of food prep or whatever. And then you come towards the front and there's some more buckets and whatnot. That buffalo's having a good old snooze, really enjoying its time inside, cooling down inside. But yeah, I think it's turned out really, really nice. And if I just go to the front, you can see I did something slightly different. We offset the door. And as you can see, look, I've just did the bottoms to just kind of detail it up. But yeah, very much kind of the same here. Put lights all across the front as well. Nice little bit of ventilation. And I think when you're looking at the habitat and you're kind of looking at that building, I think it really just blends in nice because we decided to use that nice stone and wood design. And yeah, that is basically that, gang. That is the water buffalo hab. When I first started building it, a lot of the people in the stream were saying, Dan, that hab's not going to be that big. It's not going to look good. But I think if we're looking at it now, I think it's absolutely perfect. You've got to remember, this is a city zoo. We don't have the space. We've got lots of animals to go. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to stick in this area because this is probably where we're going to be working for the foreseeable. I am going to be taking one break on my own to build something using the new DLC stuff, but I'm not going to be streaming that. I really want it to be a surprise. With the DLC in mind and the animals in mind, let me put an updated animal list on the screen for you now, gang. This has been pinned on the Discord, so anyone that's a member, you can refer to this whenever you like now. It's on that tropical wing section of the Discord, but you will see I've added 3 animals to this project. The other animals in the DLC will be added to the Do It Better series. So basically what I'm doing now, gang, is any animal that's not in this series will be in the Do It Better one, and there are obviously going to be a few animals that kind of overlap that are in both zoos. So if you're looking for, a platypus build, it could potentially end up in Do It Better, is essentially kind of like what I'm saying. So if there's any animals that are not on the list for this project, have no fear, they're going to be on another project. But anyway, the animals that we are adding from the new DLC here are the common wombat. I think it's a really good addition to add into this zoo because we are going to be doing an Australian area. It gives us another animal for the area as well. So I really like the addition of the common wombat. We are going to add the raccoon. I really like the addition of that. It's going to make for a fantastic addition over in our kind of North American area, where we've got the seals, we're going to have the prairie dogs, we've got the wolves come in, and we've got the beaver. I think that's going to be a really cool little area, a nice little pocket of the zoo over there. And then I'm adding the fruit bats as well, because I'm really hoping the fruit bats with this new exhibit option they're giving us, that are going to be free flying rather than point to point. Don't get me wrong, if it's point to point, it will still look amazing. But I think if it is free flying, then it would be a lot more, the animation and whatnot will be a lot more random. But I think the fruit bat is a great addition to the game. And I think that I'm considering reworking the area near the fennec fox and kind of adding it near there, because they're an Egyptian, so they're Egyptian fruit bats, so they're African, so they could go over there, I think, because I was trying to think where else could they go, and I really weren't sure. So I'm thinking about reworking the house on the fennec fox again for the second time, and basically trying to add a bit on, and then adding the fruit bats over there potentially is what I'm thinking. So yeah, those are the animals that we've added to the project. Now let's talk about what we are going to be potentially working on next. And here's the issue I've got now, gang. I don't know whether to start the elephants to get this down here done, so then I know what space I've got, or to start the tropical house. I think it's one or the other. It's got to be one or the other, because, you know, the elephants are the only thing that are not going to be in the Asian area, basically. So there's going to be a base. For those that haven't kind of seen some of the previous videos, there's going to be a central tropical house, right, with different levels. All the animals that have got habs on the outside are going to have a section inside as well. And I'm talking about the gibbons, I'm talking about the orangutans, the tapir, the clouded leopard. What else was there? There was so many basically animals that are all going to be able to have a section inside. I was even thinking about adding some exhibit boxes and putting some animals in that. And yeah, I was just really going to mix it up. It was going to make it look fantastic. But we want them to have areas outside. So if there is a central point, I have to remember that there needs to be a section outside, you know, nearby, where that animal is going to get a section of land as well. And so I was thinking, do I finish this all down here first and get it all done, get the elephants in, get the skywalk sort of semi-planned, out, because the skywalk's essentially going to go from here, kind of probably around the back this way. It's going to go like down over here because there's going to be an animal that it'll be able to look at. It's going to come this way. We're going to have a slightly raised viewing platform for the bears, and then it was going to come off of the bears this way, and it was going to join a piece of path that was very close to the elephants. That was essentially going to be our skywalk, idea. But you weren't really going to see much of it because we're going to hide it behind trees and forested areas and whatnot. So I think it's going to be a really cool addition to the zoo, basically. So yeah, I was wondering, do we do the elephants or do we start the tropical house? I feel like if I was to put it to a vote, you guys would want me to do the tropical house, because I think you just love that stuff, and that's not a bad thing. You know, you like what you like, but I think you would all want that because you're going to get to see multiple animals built for. So yeah, I think I've just got to take 5 minutes to myself one day and really kind of like plan out the perimeters of like where things are going to go, and then think about it. Obviously, we are going to be streaming a lot of this, gang. So I think the next stream that I plan to do will be, tomorrow, the day this is going out. I would usually stream, but I've decided not to because, I wanted to get this episode out instead of streaming. So we'll probably be streaming tomorrow at the time of recording this, and I think tomorrow's stream is going to be about tidying the zoo up. I don't actually think we're going to do much work on habitats or whatever. We're going to do a lot of tidying up. We're going to do a lot of replanting. We're going to do a lot of like path work, a bit of backlot area stuff, and like really just get this zoo kind of sorted in certain parts so I can get ready to do the next big projects. But yeah, I would imagine where we go next will either be those Asian elephants, or we'll be working towards that tropical house. Either way, into Asia is very much what I'm inspired to do at the moment. With the DLC dropping, I am going to build a habitat for one of the DLC animals. Not sure which one, but I will be doing something for this zoo using that DLC. So, keep your eyes peeled to the channel for that when the DLC drops, because, I will be definitely getting involved. And so there you have it, my friends. We are done and dusted for another episode of Tropical Wing Zoo. It was a relatively short episode. I hope you've enjoyed it, though. I hope you've enjoyed the return and the slowly getting back into the groove with it. Let me know if you like what I've kind of been talking about in today's episode, a potential stream where we do the graphics work and get all the billboards done, and a potential stream where we do some reworking of bits and bobs and tidying up. And also, as much as I'm not putting it to a vote, please let me know in the comment section below what you'd prefer to see. A potential start on the elephants, or would you like me to start on that tropical house and start getting things planned out and start getting things kind of put together, whatever happens, we're going to be working quite extensively on this area. It could be that we start the elephants, but then we have to put a bit of the tropical zone in so that we can work out space and whatnot. So, it's one of those things. We're probably going to be messing around with terrain levels quite a bit as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be quite interesting, basically, where we go next with this project. But I hope you've enjoyed it anyway, my friends. If you're new around here, consider subscribing. It's the best way to stay up to date. Hit that bell notification button so you never miss any of the uploads on the channel. Feel free to go and check out some of the other content that's not Planet 2 based as well. There's lots and lots of stuff on the channel of interest for loads of different people. Drop a like on the video to show appreciation. As I always say, just keep getting involved in the comment section below. But until next time, my friends, stay safe, stay humble, and I'll see ya real soon.